What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to the KJ MMA Show. I'm your host, Garrett Kerman. With me, as always, is my man, Ryan Jarrell. What's up, man? How's it going?
What's going on? I'm happy to be back, and the fact that we actually have fights this weekend makes me even happier. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Another day, another fight week. Fight week is upon us. I'm ready. I'm ready for the fights. Unfortunately, there's some cancellations that happened, throughout this entire week. Unfortunately, we've lost, I think, about 4 or 5 fights. And the card's actually been pushed back an hour as well. But it doesn't really matter because there's fights upon us, and that's all we care about, right?
That's right. And the main event is still happening. So you got
Right.
Qatar and Giga.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really all that matters. If that fight fell off, I'd be a little bit more perturbed, but that one's still a go. So I'm happy, man.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I was deterred a little bit is because of the fact that I had some money on a couple of the fights, and I have a lot of voids on my bet slip right now. So it was hurting my pockets a little bit. But as a fight fan, I'm just ready to see some fights, ready to see some action. People throw down, throw some hands. I'm ready to go. But with that said, we had a lot, going on in the last week. We had some really big fight announcement for UFC 272 in March. That's going to be headlined by Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. Finally, the grudge match is upon us. Are you ready for this fight? Are you as excited as I am for it?
Yeah, man. And you know what? Like I know that Colby gets a lot of heat for, his persona or his shtick or whatever it is that you want to call it, because I've heard that, in real life he's a super nice, down to earth, good human being. And he created this shtick when he was told the UFC was going to cut him. And good for him. It's his career has just gone right to the top, really. I mean, I still put him and Usman, they're like this. They're neck and neck. That second fight, you could make an argument that Colby won it 3 rounds
Right.
to two. I've actually went back and watched it, and you can make a strong argument that Colby won that fight 3 rounds to two. Obviously, Kamara had the bigger moments, but my whole point is Colby Covington's legitimate. And I think when we see the end result with this fight with Masvidal, it's just going to hammer home that point even more. That Colby Covington is one of the best welterweights that the UFC has ever had. I expect Colby to not just win this fight, but dominate it. I feel like his wrestling, even his striking, like the way he mixes up his striking with his wrestling, I just feel like even if Masvidal has some moments where he might be getting the better of Colby on the feet, Colby will be wise enough to take the fight to the ground, to keep him up against the cage. I mean, I can't wait for this fight. The bad blood between these two is real. The only thing that I feel like the UFC could have done better is if these two were the Ultimate Fighter coaches.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
would have been amazing. I mean, talk about can't miss TV. So
Right.
that's the only thing that I'm bummed about, that they're not the Ultimate Fighter coaches. But the fact that we're going to get to see this main event, and then all of the lead up to it, the embedded, the countdown, all of the pre-fight trash talk, yeah, sign me up. I can't wait. One of the most anticipated fights for me in a very long time.
Yeah, I think it's arguably one of the most anticipated fights ever in UFC history. You're talking about at least it's got to be top five. So much going back and forth between these two fighters that everybody's been itching, waiting for this fight to happen. And finally, it's happened just in 2 months time. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm on the side that Colby Covington, I think, should dominate this fight, but we have to, keep in mind that Masvidal does have some power in his hands, and Colby has been knocked down numerous times his last two. So, there is that possibility that if Jorge Masvidal does land flush, there's a possibility, he could knock him out. I mean, granted, it's Kamaru Usman. Usman has more power than Masvidal, but it's not like Masvidal doesn't have a ton of knockouts himself. He's very good with his technical striking, and the placement on his strikes could be crucial in a matchup like this, because Kobe's got a pace that could go 25 minutes, no problem. He's got the wrestling to pick you up, put you down. Doesn't matter if you get up, he'll rinse and repeat 20 times. be okay with it, and he's got insane volume to match with it on the feet. It just comes down to that chin. If his chin holds up, he should run away with this fight.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with how good Masvidal's stand-up is, but let's keep it in perspective. He doesn't have the power that Usman has, and
Right.
even in the first fight, Colby wasn't out. Colby was never out. Usman put Masvidal out cold,
Yeah,
out cold,
yeah,
and
that
when
was some serious. That was serious.
yeah, and when you think about the monster KO, the one that Masvidal had, you go to Ben Askren, and that was just like the perfect recipe for like a highlight reel, one of the most memorable knockouts ever. You're not going to see that again. I mean, the fact that Masvidal timed that knee as good as he did and knew that Askren was going to come straight in and go for a takedown. That was just like the perfect storm. That's not going to happen to Colby. He's too adept at making adjustments on the fly. We've seen it in the Usman fight. So anybody the strongest Jorge Masvidal fan out there would have a tough time convincing me that Masvidal is going to win this fight. I thoroughly expect this to be a domination by Colby. If this goes the distance, it's going to be 50-45 across the board, in my opinion. And I don't think it's going to go the distance. I expect Colby to get it done probably late 3, round 4. I think he's going to get the job done. So, but either way, this is the fight that all the hardcores wanted. So Dana White, UFC, McMahon, Sean Shelby, thank you. Let's just say thank you to everyone.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. What a fight. I'm totally looking forward to it. Gonna make a ton of money as well. I'm hoping because really thinking about it, the likelihood Colby Covington is gonna be a pretty sizable favorite into this fight. Minus 350. So you gotta look at the props, and I do think, like you said, most people are probably gonna take Colby Covington to win via decision. This is a good time to possibly fade that notion and get a good line on Colby Covington inside the distance. We could probably get some really decent money on that prop, but we'll see how it shakes out when the lines drop. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We also have the featherweight championship on the line, UFC 273, between Alexander Volkanovski and the Korean Zombie. So what do you make of that matchup? Is that the fight that you really wanted, now that Max Holloway was out, or was there someone else that you had in mind?
No, I mean that wasn't the fight that stood out to me. I mean, I feel like the UFC could have gone a couple different routes with this. Even just, I mean, if you want to keep Volkanovski active and keep him fighting, the Korean Zombie's a nice fight. He's a great fighter, but is he the one that makes the most sense? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, he's even taken a lot of flack from Giga Chikadze came out and was all over Volkanovski, talking about him handpicking that fight because it's the easiest one in the top 10. I don't know what other matchups, like who's matched up in that top 5 right now that should have slid in there, but it surprised me. It took me off guard. The biggest disappointment is the fact that Max is out, because I really wanted to see that trilogy. I still feel like Max easily could have won that second fight. It was razor thin close. So, I just hope that whenever Max and Volk fight again, that Max is 100%. He needs to be the best version of himself, because if he loses again, where that puts him as far as reclaiming that title at 45, it's not going to be good for him. I mean, basically I mean, I don't know where he'd go from there. So I don't know who stood out to you that you feel like maybe should have stepped in and fought Volkanovski, if not Korean Zombie.
To be honest, I really was rooting for Henry Cejudo. I wanted the super fight. I didn't think it, I thought Alexander Volkanovski would probably dominate the fight, but Cejudo comes to fight and he's very good. Volkanovski will have, the size advantage, but they're both wrestlers. They're both, they're both good grapplers. They're both good strikers. I mean, it would be a really good matchup. Whereas with Zombie, I just feel like Volkanovski is gonna really just overpower him, and he's gonna be much cleaner of the two. He's gonna be able to take him down. He's gonna just be able to do what he wants. Whereas Cejudo, I don't know, man. That dude's just a gamer. He's a gamer.
I mean,
And I like the personality. I mean, the lead up to, the cringe. Oh man, he I like him. Like, I'm a fan of Henry Cejudo, Triple C.
So he would have sold tickets, right?
Right.
I mean, there would have been eyeballs on the fight, but there are weight classes for a reason.
Right.
I truly believe that Volkanovski would have just been too big, too strong for Cejudo. I
Yeah.
mean, you can go and win the belt at 25 and even 35. But he was in trouble there at 35 at one point. I mean, the fact that he did win that fight, it wasn't easy. I just feel like 45 is biting off more than he can chew. I think Volkanovski would have run through him. But when I do look at who is at the top of the division right now at featherweight, I mean, you got Volkanovski, the champion, Holloway's number 1, Ortega's 2, Yair Rodriguez is 3. He's got to be out for a little while, right? I mean, after that fight,
he was campaigning. He wanted to fight, actually.
He did. Well,
yeah.
I would have rather have seen Yair against Volkanovski than Zombie, but Zombie is right there after Rodriguez, so it's not like it's completely unfair. He is closer to the top of the division, but outside of that, I mean, who is there left for Volkanovski?
Josh Emmett.
Well, I mean, okay, that's nice. Josh Emmett's number 6.
I just think that would be, there's a lot of people who were actually discussing that. People were throwing his name into the mix, into that fight,
maybe.
because he hasn't lost in a while. He's coming off, but I don't think he's the same Josh Emmett though, man. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he could go 25 minutes with Volkanovski right now. Coming off only one fight post surgery and 2-year layoff or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like Zombie or Yair is the only way to go logically if you're looking at the rankings.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Giga Chikadze is number 8 right now. He's fighting Calvin Kattar this Saturday, who's number 5. If Giga can go in there and put it on Calvin and look good, that he's going to dart right up that division. That would be an interesting fight. Another guy that's in there, Arnold Allen. He's number 7. He's tough as nails. He's young. That could be interesting.
Did you hear who they're trying to get to fight him in UFC London in March?
No.
Dan Hooker.
Ooh. Is Hooker coming down from 55?
Yep, he's coming down to 145. Yep, he's coming good. Oh man, that's gonna be a good one. I'm hoping they it's finalized. I heard it's in the works right now, but I'm really looking forward to that fight. That's gonna be a great fight. And that's another one. Like you said, Arnold Allen, he's on the up and up. And I think I like Giga though, man. If he can, like you said, if he can win convincingly, that's who I thought should be able to fight if he was able to get it done. No medical suspension. Just wait one more week to finalize something. See how Giga does and how he, how he's healing, and then throw him right back in there. That would have been a great fight.
Yeah. So I mean, there are the division is not completely cleaned out. There are a couple of interesting opponents, but at the end of the day, the one that we all wanted to see was the Maxology trilogy. So hopefully that does get on the books at some point before 2022 is over.
Yeah, well, hopefully Max Holloway's injury is not too bad, and we'll see how long he's really going to be out for. So I would assume they're going to try to book him towards the later portion of 2022 if he's even going to be available.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, we have our guest of the show ready to chime in, so we'll take a quick little break, and then we'll come back with Bellator middleweight Dalton Rosta. All right, and here he is, Bellator middleweight Dalton Rosta on the show, who's supposed to be fighting Romero Cotton just in a couple short weeks, January 29th at Bellator 273. But Dalton, I understand you have some news that you want to break.
Yeah, so yesterday, Romero Cotton pulled out of the fight. He said he was sick, so they got me a new fighter today. His name's Duane Johnston. His nickname's The Rock. 6-2, got his Bellator debut did his debut with Bellator last August and finished the fight in the first round with a Darce choke. southpaw striker. So completely different style, completely different preparation for the fight. I was preparing for a wrestler. I was doing a lot of sprawling and stuff like that. Now I'm fighting a southpaw striker, which I've seen before, but it's just 2 weeks left before the fight. It's a little hard to switch it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, geez, man, this is really shocking because I know this is a fight with Cotton that you've wanted for a while now, and right now he's ranked number 9 in the division here for Bellator. So this would have been really something to springboard yourself right into the mix here at 185. How disappointing is this for you?
It's definitely disappointing, but it was expected. I was telling people at the gym, I was telling my teammates, I even told my manager. Which I thought my manager was joking whenever he first called me and told me, because I told him, I was like, I think he's going to pull out. He's done it twice before. I think he's going to do it. I bet it. I guarantee it. And I told a couple of my teammates the same thing. And he called me yesterday, or he texted me yesterday morning. He was like, hey, bad news, Romero pulled out. And I was like, I called him and I was like, you're joking. I'm laughing on the phone. I was like, you're joking. You're fucking with me just because I told you he was going to pull out. He's like, no, bro, I'm not messing around. And I was like, damn, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And I was like, are they going to be able to find me another opponent? He's like, they're working on it right now. I was like, all right, well, just make sure they try as hard as they can, because they got a lot of people coming out to the fight, already bought their tickets, already bought the event tickets to the show, plane tickets, hotel room, everything else. So it would have been, very tough for a lot of people if this fight got canceled and I wasn't able to fight on this card. But they just gave me the opponent earlier today, like around noon. They offered me Duane Johnson.
Well, good news is that you do have a fight, right? So at the end of the day, you're going to be
Yes.
able to go in there and hopefully notch another win for yourself, stay perfect inside the Bellator cage. But, this initial fight with Cotton, 3 times now you're supposed to get in there and tangle with him. Is this a fight now that it's like cursed? You don't feel like it's going to happen? Are you like past fighting him, or you know what I mean? Because it's got to be pretty frustrating just for you to put in all that work 3 times now, not to be able to fight him.
Yeah, you know what? I was past fighting him before they came out with the rankings, because he pushed back the fight the first time, then he pulled out. So there was two opportunities right there that didn't happen. And then they came out with the rankings, and I wasn't even ranked at first, and he was ranked number 9. And then they bumped me up in the rankings, and I was ranked number 10, which I then got bumped out, and he's still ranked 9. And so it left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I was like, all right, I want that fight. So I called out for the fight, and nothing back for the first few months. It was kind of radio silent. And then all of a sudden they told me that they were expecting me to fight on January 29th card, and they were working on Romero Cotton for me. So they got the fight. I was surprised. He signed, both ends signed the bout agreement. And, I was a little surprised, but like I said, I was expecting it. So I don't think the fight's ever going to happen. I'm past it. I'm to the point where, like, I was past it already, but then I wanted it again just because he was ranked above me. I want to show these guys that I'm working my way up the rankings, one person at a time, and I'm better than a lot of these guys, all these guys that the reporters are ranking above me. You know what I mean? So that was the reason why I wanted to fight again. But now, just because this happened, it's a liability. I can't constantly try to fight him and then him pull out. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my preparation. If he pulls out closer to the fight next time, if we're supposed to fight, then everybody that, like I said, bought flights, bought event tickets, hotels, everybody's effed. You know what I mean? It's not a good look, and I just don't see myself agreeing to that fight ever again.
And I don't know a whole lot about Duane Johnson, but it seems like this guy's legit. They found you a legitimate replacement. So a win over him is obviously a good thing for you. What can you tell us about your new opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. He took the fight on 17 days notice, and but he's 6-2. I was looking into him. He has a Muay Thai background, like Muay Thai national champ. He did some boxing. He was 4-3 as a professional boxer. It's like purple or brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So he's a legit guy, and his background just attests to, his work ethic. So I can't imagine him not being training right now. He was able to take this fight, I'd imagine, because he was training and he was ready. So, a lot of respect to him for taking the fight. And I think he's a respectable, commendable opponent. You know what I mean? I think he has a lot of skills. Like I said, I studied up on him a little bit. He's southpaw striker, likes to throw a lot of teep kicks. And he's well-rounded, but I think I could beat him everywhere. So I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think whenever you watch this fight come January 29th, you're going to see it be one-sided. You're going to see me dominate the whole entire fight.
So his name's Dwayne Johnson. His nickname's The Rock. Is his signature move the rock bottom?
I have no idea, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and did some shit like that.
That's crazy. I mean, hey, if you got the name Dwayne Johnson, I guess go with it. Hey, now, dude, it's been a while since we have seen you. We got to go all the way back to what was it, March or April when you beat Tony Johnson?
21, yes.
Goodness gracious, man! Why such a long layoff? I can't imagine that's something that you really wanted.
So it was a mix of a lot of things. So at first, initially, right after my fight, I was having some pain in my hamstring, and my ankle was really messed up from all the calf kicks I threw on Tony. And for the first week, 2 weeks, I couldn't kick in training. There was a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. I couldn't throw any body kicks, no calf kicks, no head kicks, nothing. And then my hamstring just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I thought I pulled my hamstring. So I took a week off and thought it'd be good. And it just kept getting worse. It got to the point where I couldn't even put a sock on. So long story short, just to land the plane, I ended up getting an MRI and I had 2 herniated discs in my lower back. On the sciatica just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And like I said, I couldn't put on a sock. I couldn't sit for long periods of time. I couldn't walk for long periods of time. Laying relieved it. But if I laid in the same position for too long, I had to switch laying positions because then it would start hurting that way as well. So I did 3 months of physical therapy, rehab, and stuff like that, and just completely rest. Wasn't training at all because I was trying to, look long term. I could probably push through this pain and get maybe one fight in, and then I'd probably have to get surgery after that. So I was doing this the smart way. I took time off, was doing the physical therapy, and then I eventually got a cortisone shot in my lower back. And I think that took care of the rest of the problems. I've been going to chiropractor, getting decompression therapy, doing inversion therapy, ice, heat, TENS unit, all that, just getting a lot of maintenance done on it. And it's held up so far. And that was, I want to say, 3.5 months that I was out, completely not training at all. So from very beginning of May to maybe I want to say late April to the very end of August, was not training whatsoever. And Bellator actually offered me 2 fights in that time. They offered me a fight against Lorenz Larkin at 185. He ended up fighting Rafael Carvalho, and I couldn't take the fight because I was injured. And that was May 21st. And then they offered me another fight against Fabio Aguiar, Brazilian, and he ended up fighting Taylor Johnson instead. But I couldn't take either of those fights because I was injured. And then I tried getting the fight November 12th. A lot of things went wrong. Couldn't find me an opponent. Then the card filled up. Then I just stayed ready to get on the December 3rd card, and that was full. So they finally got me on this card. So it was a long process.
Man, Lorenz Larkin, that would have been. That's a good name. That would have been a nice fight. Is that something maybe you're hoping gets rebooked?
I think he's going back down to 170. From my understanding, it was only because I was with Paradigm at the time, and they were also managing him. And they reached out to me, and they're like, "Yeah, this is also our guy, but they offered you the fight, and you guys are grown men. We gotta let you guys make your decisions yourself. But this is his only fight at 185, so he plans on going back down to 170 after this. So that's what they said. Who knows what the future holds? Who knows if he decides to come back up or our paths cross? I'd be up for it if it came down to it and everything lined up.
All right, and I have to imagine the only reason why you've fallen out of the top 10 is from inactivity, correct?
That's hard to argue because then they put Norbert Novenji above me at number 10, and Romero Cotton's ranked number 9, and Romero hasn't fought since 2020. December of 2020 was his last fight against Justin Sumter, and then Norbert hasn't fought since, I believe, 2020 as well. It's been a while for him also, and then he tore his ACL, and he's completely inactive right now. So he was supposed to fight Charlie Ward. He tore his ACL, and then Charlie Ward was supposed to fight Fabian Edwards. and then Charlie Ward ruptured his bicep, and then Fabian Edwards had a replacement opponent in Ireland, and that guy pulled out like the day of or the day before. So like everybody in the division's been inactive, and for one reason, whatever it is, the reason is one reason or another, everybody's been inactive. So I can't imagine that being the reason why. But, whoever's doing these rankings, I know it's a cumulative group of people voting on these rankings themselves, but, nothing towards them, but they're going to learn, eventually that they're voting on the wrong people. You know what I mean? I should definitely be ranked a lot higher than Romero Cotton. And if the fight were to ever happen, I would prove them wrong very, very badly about why he shouldn't be ranked above me.
All right. I love it. And step one is going in there and beating The Rock here on January 29th. Now, as far as this camp goes, man, obviously you're at one of the absolute top gyms in the world. How's your body been feeling after some of the issues you had previously? Like, how good are you feeling right now as the fight gets closer?
Everybody has their bumps and bruises throughout camp, but I know besides that, we're in a physically demanding sport, in a combat sport. Everybody's going to have their bumps and bruises. That's obviously a given, but besides that, everything's healthy, no health issues, no injuries, and I'm feeling good. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you got a couple of training partners and good friends that have fights too right around the corner. Sabah Mousasi, he's fighting Jaleel Willis on the same card as you. And then Austin Vanderford's fighting Mousasi for the title shortly after that, man. So tell me a little bit about the both of them, how they're looking in camp.
They're both looking great, man. Sabah is always sharp. His strike is always sharp. His wrestling's looking good. On the other end, you got Austin, who's 11-0 for a reason. You know what I mean? Wrestling's great. His striking is sharp as well. And, I can't give you a look too much into what their camp entails, but both of them look really good. And I don't see any outcomes for either of them besides winning, honestly, with how they've been looking, how they've been performing, how they've been training. So, expect them both to win.
As far as just the stylistic matchup with Mousasi and Vanderford, is this just the case where Austin's going to utilize his wrestling and stay in top control? Mousasi's a legend. I've been watching him fight since I was just a little kid, it seems. This has just got to be exciting from any MMA fan standpoint. You were a fan before you were a fighter. This got to be pretty exciting for just everyone in your gym, really.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. He grew up watching Mousasi. I grew up watching Mousasi. Now he's gonna get to watch. Now he's gonna get to fight him. Lock himself in a cage with him, and I think he's very capable of beating him. Obviously anything can happen. Fight night, anything can happen in the cage. But his wrestling's there, his top pressure's there, his pace is there, his conditioning, everything. And I don't think Gegard Mousasi is gonna be able to defend his takedown for too long. Of course, he's high level fighter. He's a world champion. So he's going to have guys in his camp, and he's already seasoned enough and good enough to where he's going to be able to defend takedowns over and over and over again. But whenever you have somebody constantly in your face and somebody with the wrestling pedigree that Austin has, it's a lot more difficult than, your average wrestler or just your normal MMA fight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stake here. He's expected to win. Austin's not. A lot of pressure on him. And it's going to be a tough night for Gegard.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. I want to get a quick pick from you from the UFC middleweight title fight. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, the rematch. I'm really, really looking forward to this one. How do you see the rematch shaking out, Dalton?
I wish you gave me some time to prepare for this answer. I think Israel Adesanya is probably going to win by decision. That last time he ended up getting a knockout. Robert Whittaker, got a little bit too aggressive. He got out of his style and started chasing Israel down. But when Israel's not counterattacking anybody, you don't usually see him knock people out. So the only time he knocks people out is whenever they start chasing him. He's a longer guy. He's a good counter fighter. But when he's the one setting the pace and he's just sitting on the outside, just touching people's leg, it tends to be a boring fight. But I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a chess match, and I think Israel Adesanya being the longer fighter, the more seasoned striker, I think he's probably going to outpoint him, and I think it's probably going to be a boring fight unless Robert Whittaker goes in there and does the same thing he did last time. Which either way, whoever gets caught first is going to win.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this one. Now, Bellator 273, your fight is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. When do you actually leave for the venue, and who will be in your corner come fight night?
So I leave Tuesday, the week of, and Mike Brown will be in my corner, and Anderson Franco.
All right. And as far as like your weight goes, I mean, we're still a couple weeks out, but is everything on point? Like you're right where you normally would be leading up to a fight?
Yeah. I mean, I think this morning I was 8 pounds over, 8.5 pounds over, but it's a light morning because I went pretty hard at practice yesterday. I'll probably be back up to like 196 tomorrow. I usually fluctuate at this point, but before I cut water, I usually get down to like 193. And then cut the last 7 in water. It's usually an easy cut.
And how excited are you to be on, the undercard here of a heavyweight title? Bader Mordalski is going to be the main event. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. How pumped are you for just this event? And what's your pick for that main event title fight?
I mean, I'm super excited. I grew up watching Ryan Bader as well. And then you have somebody like Mordalski, who's an uppercomer. He's interim champ right now. He's looking great. He's looking phenomenal. Him and Vadim Nemkov, both, they look like unstoppable. So you've seen Fedor's comments saying that if Bader were to beat Moldavsky, then that would be his retirement fight. So I kind of want to see that happen. I want to see Bader win, but man, Moldavsky, he's good, man. He looks good. It's going to be a tough fight. It's hard to choose there, but I think the experience in the wrestling, I think Ryan Bader gets it done.
All right. And, your matchup here, again, as we've talked earlier, it's changed from Romero Cotton to Duane Johnson. Got to imagine you're going to be a heavy favorite in this fight, too. Does that give you more pressure? Like, do you feel like because you're going to be going in against a new opponent and you're going to be the favorite here, do you even feel that at this point when you're in a position like that?
No, I don't feel any pressure off that. I mean, if anything, I feel like that might put more pressure on the underdog. I'm not going out there to, make people money off their bets. I'm going out there to fight, and whether I'm the underdog or I'm the favorite, I'm game planning the same way, I'm training the same way, and I'm going out there and fighting the same way. So it doesn't really matter to me. If anything, that might be messing, like you said with Romero, that might be messing with his head a little bit. So, I mean, we'll see.
All right. And last question for me, Dalton. If you go in there, you do get the job done. You do get a win here, which is what I imagine a lot of people feel like you will do. What are you hoping is next? If that Cotton fight doesn't come to fruition, is there someone else that you feel like makes the most sense for you in the top 10?
Mike Shipman. I would say Mike Shipman or Charlie Ward, but Charlie Ward just ruptured his bicep. I'd imagine he needs some time to recover. And I don't want to be waiting on the sidelines for too long. I want to, a short turnaround, and if it's not short, decent, a couple months. So I think Michael Shipman. It's either Michael Shipman or Charlie Ward, but I think Michael Shipman will be it.
Okay, very good. Dalton, always a pleasure talking to you, my man. Before we do let you go, I want to give you the floor as always. Tell people where to follow you on social media, and if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Dalton Rosta. And I'd like to give a thanks to all my sponsors, Arias Agencies, Scooter King, Russin Financial. I can go on and on and on. I have a lot of sponsors this fight, but those are my big sponsors. On top of that, I got Armina Stone, I got RJ Steele, Avid. Without them, camp would be so much tougher, with the expenses, recovery stuff, fight gear, everything. So I just like to thank them as much as I can.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks again. Good to see you. Go get that win. I'm sure we'll be chatting again soon, brother.
All right, thank you.
Another great interview with Bellator middleweight Dalton Rosta. He's got a great fight coming up against Duane Johnson. Really looking forward to that. We got UFC Vegas 46 on tap this weekend. That means there's bets and there's money to be made. Finally, we're back making some money. We closed out last year doing pretty well, and we're looking to keep that momentum going this weekend. It is headlined by two great featherweights in Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze. Really looking forward to this matchup. And, we got a stacked fight card up and down the entire fight card also, but we also lost, we lost about 5 or 6 fights on this card. So, it's a little lackluster, but there's some spots I really do like, and that we can make some good money this weekend. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm just excited that there are fights back. The betting wise, I'm hoping to just kind of ease my way into 2022. I'm not going to put a whole lot of money on this particular event, but the next couple pay-per-views that are around the corner, I'll be betting big time. But there's a couple of fights here that I feel like you could make some money on. A couple of dogs that stand out to me, and one of them, I'll just get it started, Garrett, and that's Kevin Kroom stepping in on short notice. We saw what he did in his last short notice fight against Roosevelt Roberts. He was a huge underdog, and he turned Roberts lights out. And so here he is against a really tough, a gritty veteran, and Brian Kelleher. Kevin Kroom is plus 230, so you could really make some money on him. And he's one of those guys that is just really difficult to get a gauge of inside of the octagon. So I feel like this is one of those fights where he could come in as an underdog again and shock a lot of people. What do you think about that one?
It's interesting because I really that was like a total pass of a fight to me. That Kroom could possibly pull it out again. He's done it before on a couple of days' notice. But I just felt like Keller, is seasoned enough to not get caught in anything like Roosevelt Roberts did, because I'm pretty sure it was like an arming guillotine that choked them out. But I don't think Keller would be able to get caught in something like that. But it's a fight; anything can happen. But like you said, there is a lot of value at plus 230. Keller was talking about how the weight cut is taking a toll on him, so maybe he's not in the best of shape coming into this fight. So Kroom could possibly capitalize. He's been staying ready with getting Dakota Bush, getting him ready for his fight against Slava Borshev. So, it could happen. It definitely could happen. And that's one of those fights that I would throw a couple dollars on Kevin Kroom. Why not? Just throw it there, see if it sticks. If it hits, you win over 2 times your money.
Okay, so if you don't like that underdog, I've got another one for you, okay? And that is TJ Brown and Charles Rosa. Charles Rosa is plus 205 against TJ Brown, and Rosa's coming in on short notice as well. TJ Brown had another opponent, and he fell out. So this is one of those fights where I feel like, plus 205, this seems kind of like a pick'em fight to me. So I really feel like this fight could go either way. And don't get me wrong, I love TJ Brown. I've been interviewing him for a while now, and I can't help it. I root for the guy. But this is one of those fights that it's a coin flip. So the fact that Rosa is plus 205, that to me is like, okay, well, there's a chance to win some money right there.
I actually like that. I really do like that. Plus 200, plus 220, plus 205. You're getting really good value there. This fight is not at 145; it's at 155 pounds too, so he doesn't need to cut a ton of weight. Rosa's coming off a loss. He got wrestled again. That's normally his MO. When he does lose, he just gets wrestled and grappled. TJ Brown does pose a threat there, but Rosa's still active off his back. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I think a higher level black belt than TJ Brown is as well. But also on the Brown side, they already know what they're getting from Rosa because they already beat him with Derek Minner. So they know all they need to do is just wrestle him, keep him down, and control him. But the problem here is Minner actually is not that bad in transitions. We don't know how Brown is, with transitions on the mat. We've seen him get caught, against Jordan Griffin when he gassed out in the 3rd round. This could possibly happen here. And you're getting, him at plus 200, plus 220. There is a reason why I would actually bet on Charles Rosa in this fight. And I just think you're getting a ton of value. And you're talking about TJ Brown. He should be 0-3 in his last fight. The last 3 fights, because he definitely didn't beat his last opponent in Kai Kamaka. So, we'll see who's the lesser of the evil here. But give me Rosa here at plus 200.
Okay. Well, give me one from you. Who stands out for you that you're looking to make some money on Saturday?
Man, this is it's a tough one because I was really looking forward to Kakramanov. I was, very heavy on him. It's really also hard to not bet on Ramiz Brahimaj. I don't know if I'm butchering his name, but Ramiz at minus 115. I got him a little earlier at minus 105. I missed the boat on him at plus 100, plus 110. But I mean, he's going against Court McGee here. Okay, Court McGee is 2-5 in his last 7. He's only won 2 fights in his last 5-6 years. The dude is closer to 40 than Ramiz is to 35, I would assume. And Ramiz is on the up and up. He's a really strong grappler. McGee can get taken down. He doesn't get submitted, but he does have trouble defending takedowns, and he's just slower. He's a tougher of the 2 guys. I think he has the better cardio of the 2. But at the end of the day, I think Ramiz should be able to, take him down, control him, and just keep him there and just overpower him and just be younger, And give me one last fight to fade Court McGee. I'll take it all day, especially at Pick'em. I get to fade Court McGee at a Pick'em. Take it, run it to the bank, and cash out.
Okay, I like that one. One more out of me that stands out, and this could be a homer pick. So I'm just going to get that right out there. But I think you're actually going to agree with me here. And I'm talking about a guy that coins himself the ugly man. And he's not the ugly man. He's actually quite a handsome fellow. So I'm talking about Joseph Holmes. And he's making his official UFC debut. Look, this guy's legit. He's super legit, and he's long. He's the tallest middleweight in the division. He's even taller than Izzy. He's got an incredibly long reach. He's well-rounded. He's durable, and he gets his opponents out of there. And he's fighting Jamie Pickett, who is another Contender Series alum. I think Pickett is probably the more rugged, stronger fighter here. But I can't bet against Joseph Holmes. And he's minus 140. This is just someone that, for me personally, I'd slide him into a DraftKings lineup and feel real good about it. I think he's got a bright future. This is his UFC debut. He's been waiting for it for a long time now, and it's time to show out. He's been at Glory MMA training with James Krause and all the killers there. I like him. I'm pretty confident about it. What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, Pickett's also another fighter I like to bet against as well. I just don't think highly of his abilities and him being at the UFC level. He's extremely athletic. He's very long. He's got an 80-inch reach, which is absurd at 185 pounds. But with Holmes here, he's very dynamic. He can submit you on the mat. He can knock you out, unconscious on the feet. I mean, his last 2 wins were split between knockout, a first-round knockout, and a submission. So both very impressive. Pickett, hasn't been impressive. His last win against Staropoli was not impressive. He just, had the better cardio and had the better wrestling, and was just grappling and being dominant in that fashion. But Holmes comes there to put you out. Whether it's choke you out or it's knock you out, he's coming there to finish you, and I think he's going to get a finish here. I don't think it's under 1.5 rounds, but I do think he gets probably, a late second, early third round, finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Joseph Holmes. I'm pumped to see him.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. There's a lot of good fights on this card. Giga Chikadze and Calvin Kattar. It's not a ton of money to be made there. I do think Giga wins. But minus 237 is a little steep price for me. I do like Slava Claus, but Borshev at minus 190. I think he gets it done. Dakota Bush, I don't think he has much for Slava on the feet at all. So he's going to have to, shoot for a ton of takedowns. We've seen Slava be able to, when he gets taken down, know how to get right back up. I think he's going to be able to do that. He's going to put him away. He is a very accomplished kickboxer. He's a striking coach for Team Alpha Male. And he's training with wrestlers 24/7, over there in Sacramento. So, he's coming in here. He's going to be ready to, sprawl and brawl and, get the win. Also really liking Caitlin Chikagian. Minus 180 is a little steep. You could take her by decision at minus 120. She already beat Jennifer Maia. She already knows what she's got to do. Stay long, stay on the outside, throw a ton of kicks, use her length, use her jab, and just, and defend any type of takedown that Maia is going to try to attempt. She's not good at, going for takedowns. She's not good at being successful on them. So, she didn't even get a takedown against Jennifer Maia, and somehow she won that fight. But, Chikagian has the volume advantage. She's got the length advantage, and she's already beaten her in 2019. So I do think she's going to win, and she's going to win via decision as well. But a parlay I do like would be Ramiz at minus 115. Also, Joe Anderson Burrito at minus 135 and Brandon Royval at minus 160. That gets you about plus 400 just for those three fighters. I do think they have favorable matchups, and I do think, they get the job done. Burrito, I think it's going to be too tough and too powerful for, Bill Algeo. Algeo is going to have to be, tough and gritty and just have, the better cardio and withstand Burrito's power. If Burrito can, possibly knock him out, which I do think he does, I do think he can win 3 rounds as long as he doesn't gas out against Algeo. And when it comes to Royval, this guy's been on a tear. He's only fighting top 5 competitors. You talk about Kai Kara France, who he beat, Brandon Moreno, where he dislocated his shoulder, and then Alexander and then Pantoja, who he lost to. Those are all 3 title contenders. So I do think he's still on the top swing. I think he's still right there as a title contention, and he will get back into the win column against Bontarine, who I just think is too outmatched on the feet. And I do think on the mat, the scrambles of Royval will be able to, get him right back up and just be able to, keep his distance, and get the win. So I really do like that as my parlay of the week. That's Brandon Royval, Joe Anderson Burrito, and Ramiz Brahmaj. So that's at plus 400.
Yeah, I like all those. And Brandon Royval, big fan of his. So I'm sure he's going to get back to his winning ways here in this fight. I know it's a big one for him. So all in all, Garrett, a really good night of fights, although, we have had some cancellations like we've discussed, but really we have fights back. That's all that matters. I know all you fight fans out there watching are super pumped. So hopefully we've given you guys some good, some good picks to win some money this Saturday. And hopefully, I'm going to win some DraftKings money. I know that. I'm putting in a few lineups. So I'll let you know how that turns out.
Yeah, let me know, and I'll let you guys know, how we do on the picks next week. And, we will be back next week. Another fighter will be on, and we will be giving you more bets and making more money. And we'll be tracking all these plays and let you know how much money we're making in the end. Because at the end of this year, I know for a fact you're going to be making a ton of money. So stay tuned for more money, more interviews, and, more fight news. And we will see you all next week. You guys, see you later.